Marketing for Humans, bringing the human back into marketing. Hi, I'm Christina Fry, and I'm a marketing consultant for solo business owners. My focus is helping my clients become the compelling expert of their field, where they get great clients by being who they are. Today's episode is with product-based service professionals. That means they serve their clients really well, but there's a product in the mix. So our three guests are at different phases in their business, and you'll get some insights into what's working for each particular business need. We do a good old-fashioned field study and check in on what's working. So sit back and be inspired for your own marketing. So thanks you guys for being on this Marketing for Humans program today. And I'm excited to just talk about more product-related businesses and marketing that actually works in those domains. And each one of you is in a very specific niche. And I can't wait to hear more about what's working for you. So let's just go around the circle that I see, and I'll start with Becky. We'll just do an introduction. Becky, tell us the name of your business and where you're based and just generally what you do.
Sure. So my name is Becky Suchu. I am the furniture fairy godmother at Becky's Furniture by Design. I help clients fall back in love with their furniture. So through refinishing or updating or changing the look to match the style of their home.
Great.
And I'm based in Marblehead. I missed that part.
This is like mostly a Marblehead call today. So thank you. Mary, how about yourself?
My name is Mary McRae. I am a men's stylist with J. Hilburn Custom Menswear, and I help busy guys who want to look great in clothes that fit, but who don't want to spend hours at the department store to do that. And I help them so that they can dress with confidence every day. And I'm based in Swampscott.
Great. So right next door to Marblehead. And Lolly, welcome.
Morning, everybody. Yes, Lolly Leeson, and I'm a certified health and culinary lifestyle coach. And my bailiwick is helping busy families find trusted solutions that set families on the right nutritional track for life. And my tagline is, can't get your kids to eat fruits and veggies? I can.
So good. Wonderful. All right. So let's start off with what's working. This is my favorite thing in life. I've recently been pondering this distinction between logical/rational and empirical. I feel like it is a distinction for our times in the land of, an interesting mediascape, newscape, social mediascape. And the distinction is this, that, you could be the smartest person in the world and have a rational plan of action, right? And it completely falls flat on its face. But an empiricist is always going to pay attention to what actually is going on and what works. So rationality has its strengths, but you need empiricism. You need to have that willingness to keep looking at what's working. So I'm really excited to just check in. Usually I don't run it this way. But so that's what we're going to do today. And Becky, we'll start with you. So you help people make their furniture look good again. And honestly, I'll just say there's an environmental, component to that because you're saving furniture so people don't have to buy new things all the time. Tell us what's working for you overall in your marketing these days.
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing that's working is actually my network. So and to be, out front about it, I joined BNI a couple years ago now, and that has really been working well. I tried a couple of other networking groups that might be better suited to like someone with a retail storefront, and it wasn't really a fit. It was a great way to meet people, but it was more just kind of social. So I was really looking for that. How can I meet other business owners who are actually going to send clients to me and build that relationship with them? And so I found just really kind of diving into that and getting to know my chapter members really well has been very successful. And the other thing that's been successful, which, we don't always think about social media marketing, but just asking for past clients or my referral network to tag me and post on Facebook. So, recommend and tag. And that's a big thing because I'm very hyper local with my market. So I pretty much service, Marblehead, Swampscott, and Haunt. I've gone to Peabody and Danvers and, other areas on the North Shore. But those are really, it's kind of a hyper local focus. And that's really where you find a lot of those networks. People will go on the page and just search for furniture refinishing without even creating a post. And then they'll read the post and see who was recommended. So those are the two things right now that are working. And the other thing is I created a website just as a landing page. And it's a great way to just get that first. If someone's searching for, refinishing or company name, that comes up. And I joined Home Advisor. So I'm kind of going, at it from, referral network. And then if someone searches on Google, it kind of pops them through to me as well. So I'm feeling that out. I don't know it, but so far it's been successful. So.
Yeah. And I appreciate that you're using Facebook in a really strategic way, or just social media in a strategic way by, like something I talk about is centers of influence, by talking to people, friends, others who just know what you're up to, BNI members, et cetera, and just reminding everyone that like, hey, you can tag me, and that's a really quality referral. Don't forget. So you're giving us great ideas. All right. So Mary, how about yourself? Like, what has been working for your J. Hilburn business?
In all the years that I've done it, the single most important factor has just been consistency, like consistency of effort, consistency of every week that I get down and I do a little bit of all of the different types of marketing that I need to do. And what has changed actually after I was working with you was more of a consistency of a really concise message. So adding the two of those together, like the message that really focused on how I was helping my clients rather than what I was doing, but really what the end result was. That has helped sort of inform a lot of what I've been doing. It sort of feeds all together because I also like Becky, I do BNI, which has been a tremendous source of leads for me and a lot of clients, which is great. But being able to take that consistent message to BNI and then also to take it to Instagram and to take it even into my networking outside of BNI where I'm meeting new people and I'm talking about what I do, that has all been really helpful. So having the message, having the clear, consistent message, and then doing all my efforts consistently, that's always the key. Like I was away the last week and a half, and so now I feel like I've sort of fallen off and I have to get back on track because nothing's going to happen if I don't do it daily.
Yeah, good point. And I love that even though you have maybe a few things going on, just like Becky does, it's all about the consistency. So, my favorite thing in life is to hear a business owner say, when I get up in the morning, I know exactly what I need to do to keep this whole thing moving forward. That is such a good place to be. And it sounds like such a no-brainer, but confusion is more the norm, I think. Confusion and avoidance of marketing. I'm tipping my hat to you. All right. And by the way, I saw, this is a total aside, has nothing to do with anything. I saw Rob Hartigan at a networking meeting this morning, and he looked really good, probably thanks to you. So
probably.
That's an attorney at Mason McCullough in Salem, for those of you listening and you're curious. All right. So Lolly, hello. Tell us what's working for you in your Juice Plus business, or just overall health business.
Well, yeah. We're slowly getting back into live events. That's how I built my business in the first place, on live events, and God willing, we're getting back to those this fall, which is great. But in the interim, what I did do, which I've had a lot of fun doing, is creating a YouTube channel and doing cooking classes, cooking videos, cool. Because my background is in food and the culinary arts, and we're all about whole food nutrition. And my bailiwick is being in the kitchen. And I was doing it anyway because I cook a lot for my family. So I thought, well, I'm just going to have fun with this, and I'm going to start creating a whole channel, different channels. So I do, have one channel for the Tower Garden. I have one for Lolly's Kitchen. So that's been, I think I've gained a lot of credibility through that, because I think sometimes with, my product is the tool, but it's really so much more than that. It's really about the repeated, as Mary was saying, like the consistency. and the repeated exposures. And so that is the long game. Success, it's sort of long-term relationships equals long-term success, and creating that communication and credibility with your customers in all the other things that you're doing to get your message across. So I think that's one of the main things that I've been doing. And then we are getting back to live events, which is great, which is having other third-party, validation speakers, doctors and healthcare professionals come in and do Prevention Plus talks, where you invite the public to come into a community. That's always been huge.
Yeah, that's great. And I just noticed on social media recently that you had an event in your greenhouse, which is filled with tower gardens, which is also a Juice Plus offering where you can grow, your own food all year long. And I know for a fact that Lolly and her husband have 6 large tower gardens in a greenhouse?
7. And I've been using that. That's been really great because that's a huge visual. It's interesting because fruits and vegetables in a capsule is kind of an ethereal idea. Like, people don't really understand that. Like, how do you get all those fruits and vegetables into a capsule, and how does that work? And whereas the tower garden, is very tactile, and you can smell it, you can taste it, you can feel it. People can relate to that a lot more. The two messages do go together beautifully, but sometimes people have to come in through a different door. To come.
That's great. I love the visual. And I just want to say that recent story about the tower garden for me is that my brother, who is an avid gardener up in Vermont, has 4 raised bed gardens that are hugelkultur gardens, which are kind of a fancy, sustainable gardening tactic. And he said, I want to figure out gardening so that I can do what Christine is doing over the winter and have, kale in January. And I was like, dang, like, he's mildly envious that I can grow produce all year long. Like, that guy who's totally a gardening maniac. I'm like, why don't you just get a tower garden? I didn't say that, but he's figuring out something else way more complicated. I'm like, hon, come on. Anyway, just a little tower garden.
That happens. That happens a lot with people, that they have to come to it on their own.
Of course they do.
Their idea.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'll be eating my yummy kale. Anyway.
Well, that's
all right.
I do post a lot of things about that. Like, yesterday I did a post about shishito peppers, and
I saw that.
Then took the peppers into the kitchen, and people have been frustrated by their gardens this year because of all the rain. So
I hear that.
So I use YouTube's.
Well, I love this because, again, we're talking product-based stuff right now. And so I'm appreciating that you're bringing out the visual component and the lifestyle component, right? Like, how do these products per se, or just, things that you offer, work into people's lives every day? How can you make them vibrant and just sort of magnetic? Like, oh my gosh, I want a garden like that. Like, could I actually have that in my house? It's nice to see, because here's what I always think of. Clients or customers will be like, they see the photo. This is like the IKEA model. You walk through an IKEA store and you're like, oh, I want that bedroom, right? Like, you would never say that when you're just looking online, but when you're walking through and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. That sort of visceral, yes, that. You're sort of doing that in an online format, but still it works pretty well. So anyway, all right. So we have already, you guys are quick and to the point, which I always appreciate. Let's move on to the next thing, which is what are some marketing strategies or changes that you are contemplating moving forward now? And I mention this because it is so easy. And I struggle with this literally almost every day. It is so easy to say, I want those 7 things. I want to do that. Like, for me, I want a gorgeous Instagram feed. I want, the perfect SEO, tons of awesome articles, right? Like, I am tempted just like anybody else, even though my business is to help people focus. So what are you contemplating for this coming season or coming year? Becky, over to you.
Yep. So I had tried to start re-engaging to focus on building out my website, which right now, like I said, it's a landing page. It's been a time issue. So, trying to find the time to focus on it. So I think my strategy is really, it goes back to what Mary was saying, just being concise and even just concise with my time, and being consistent with my time and, trying to focus more on the business side. But the big things for me are website and building out the Instagram feed, the social media, trying to be better about sharing what I'm working on. I do take the pictures. It's just a matter of posting them. Yep. So as I go through, if I have a quiet season, which right now it's not a very quiet season. So I guess that's a good thing is, I'm booking in advance. But, if I do come across, where I'm not filling out my schedule, that would be the time where I would kind of plan out, okay, these are the posts that I want to do. I had the idea of, I've been taking pictures every day of my work, and I've also been doing time lapses of my work. I used the time lapses in a BNI presentation as sort of like a feeler just to see how they came off. And the feedback was phenomenal just to have someone be able to see, I bought a new sander this year. I invested in a dustless sanding system for refinishing. So for, like a dining table that somebody wants to take off, a lacquer finish or an acrylic bar top style finish and then turn it into more natural, like a farmhouse style table. So I did complete a job for a family in Marblehead this year. And that was so much fun to work on because I had the right equipment. I just had imagined that it was going to take me a week to sand it with the old sander that I had. And it took me about a day. Over the course of a couple of days, just because of life. But yeah, it was about 4 hours of work where it would have been, 18 to 20. So
that is great.
But that's probably, I would say that's what's next. My business is also still kind of in the early stages. I consider it in the early stages. I kind of am struggling like, wow, it's been over 2 years now, but, it still feels brand new to me. So, building the website and doing things that you'd expect when you're reaching out to somebody. If you're Googling my company name, if it just shows up as a landing page at a certain point, like how long have you been doing this? So, to have the credibility as a business owner. So.
Yeah. And I will just, reflect back to you because I think sometimes we don't see ourselves, understatement of the century, that, one thing that you bring to the table, Becky, is that you have this really strong background in industrial design and, you are like so overqualified for what you do. It's ridiculous. And to have you sort of geek out, I know you're a celebrator in the innate marketing genius model, but sometimes it's time for you to just geek out and get excited on camera or whatever, in a way that somebody with that background might, like even to the point of admiring your sander because it was designed a certain way. Like, don't hold back with that stuff. So I'm giving you a geek out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been connecting with other furniture refinishers too. Because it's such a niche market industry, there is a furniture refinisher who I connected with through BNI. He's up on the North Shore in Gloucester, and he does a very different kind of work, but we both sand. So, we connected about that, and he is actually who recommended the sander to get. And, it's just such like a great conversation because we both geeked out together about what we work on and, different areas of focus. So we're not really crossing over, and we just shared knowledge of just sharing knowledge of being an individual, working in the business, working on the business, being the sole business owner, but also the person who's doing the work. So, I'm not subbing out the job I'm not hiring anyone else to do the work for me. I'm actually doing it myself. And then explaining that, what I'm doing is more artistic. I'm actually working on now a table that I'm refinishing. It's a wood top table. The person wanted a stain. It couldn't be stripped and stained. It was a wood veneer that was very, very thin and failing. So I pointed that out to her, but I said, I can get you that color that you're looking for. I can match the stain. So 5 paints, a glaze, and the top coat later, I have a perfect match to the color of the stain. And I just sent her a close up just to say, I hit it. Like I did it. We're there. It takes a little longer to do it like that, but it's fun to be able to give someone what they're asking for that way. So
that's great. And the watercolorist in me, that's a new thing I've taken up. It just tickles me to hear somebody color matching because I know what that takes. It is a huge deal. And there's even more when you're trying to do a piece of furniture. So I can't even imagine. Yay for you. That's great. All right. So Mary, in your marketing corner, what is cooking? What's on tap that might be coming up next?
Oh God, so many things to work on. But yes, definitely. I'm definitely new to the whole social media thing. I just started really posting probably in like February of this past year. But I love it. I love the fact that it begins to feed on itself, and it begins to, you get these ideas as you sort of walk around your daily life, and it's kind of fun. But I really want to improve what I've got, the story that I'm telling, really. In a again, consistent way across not only Instagram, which is my favorite platform to use, but then to really get more into utilizing both Facebook and LinkedIn, because it's another side of my business is not just helping clients, but I also want to build a team of people who do what I do. So I need to really expand all of that consistency and that message in a way that targets people who might be interested in becoming stylists as well, because it is a great career. If it's the right fit for you, it's a great place to be. And then the other thing that I am looking to do, because personal networking has always been the best source for my business, is to do some more targeted networking. So to look at groups that I've had success with. I mean, you mentioned lawyers, that's one, but just to, instead of going to a larger group that has a lawyer in it and a bunch of other people, there are a bunch of, lawyer networking groups that I could hopefully get some connection with, and then I can be really talking to a very receptive sort of audience. So there's that on the business side, and then also on the team building side, I could talk to mothers groups and interact with them, and that's really good. That's usually a good resource for people who are looking to do the kind of job I do. So really, it's just expanding what I'm doing into some new directions, and again, trying to get really, really consistent about it.
Yeah. And I love that. And if you're in front of attorneys, all you have to do is press play on the testimonial video. You have like 3 or 4 attorneys on there talking about how great
I love it. I know. Yes. Yes. When they walk into the courtroom, and I know I've got the best. He was so cute.
Yeah. And they're wearing the stuff,
Yeah.
They're wearing the clothes on camera. Like that is fantastic. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know what resonates with them in their profession. So nice. It's nice to talk to people like that.
Yeah.
Directly.
Yeah. Well, I will always say that the more sort of, I know before and afters are weird. That's more for Becky, but like any kind of visual photos that show the results of what you do is just, I kind of see you having, let's say you meet with certain attorneys you've worked with in the past, and you just gently remind them like, hey, if you take a picture of yourself with your suit on and you tag me, like that's a huge help to me, like just things like that, little reminders. So you got your whole, boots on the ground people doing you a service,
I love delegating. So I'll certainly see what I can do there.
Awesome. Yeah. And also one reminder that it is easier to work with you remotely than people might think. And that you're also, because who the heck knows what's going to happen. Knock on wood, we keep opening up, but no matter what, you can help people. So,
well, and even just, I think people have beyond this, even when everything is open, people are still going to want the option to be able to sit down, in their own living room or after dinner and spend an hour shopping with me rather than, trying to make some time during their day in the office. So right. There's always that option, which I think is great.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Mary. All right, Lolly, what is on deck for you?
Well, let's see. I do several things. I don't do the Instagram really consistently every day. Probably I post 2 or 3 times a week on Instagram. And so what I'm trying to get more just consistent, because usually I post when I'm inspired about something. And Instagram, you can't do videos, so it has to be mostly pictures and things like that. So when I try to, vary my pictures and what I'm doing on Instagram, but we're starting a tower garden, just a tower garden Instagram, because what I realize is I have a lease on life for, Juice Plus and Tower Garden intermixed. But what I'm realizing is that searches on Instagram for indoor gardening are up 34% on Instagram this year. People are really searching that on IG a lot. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm rethinking this, that maybe I need to have another, Instagram site just for Tower Garden. So that's one thing that we're working on, and doing the hashtags and, really focusing on pushing that out. And yeah, so that's kind of fun, just deciding that that's what we're going to do with that. And I'm going to have two. I'll have my lease on life, but I'll also have one for Tower Garden. And then I do a monthly newsletter where I can put videos in there, which is really nice. So that goes out to all my customer base. So I've just started doing that this year, inserting personal videos of me, just instead of just information about what I'm doing, is having me front and center, doing a 2-minute video on something that I want to talk to people about, whether it's a recipe or, just what's going on. I think it lends a more personal touch to a newsletter. Yeah. And then I'm working with monthly, I work with a professional website guy who helps me with some social media stuff and just keeps me, organized, because I need that.
That's great. And a quick story about Juice Plus recently. I have a relative who is only eating a bunch of sugar right now. So, coffee breads and ice cream for lunch, and just kind of not good. And Lolly and I have been talking about, something not all of us think about is the fact that when you start bringing in gummies or the capsules, that it actually, it changes your appetite. So I just very much appreciate that angle too. I know there's so many messages you could put out there. I just wanted to insert that one because it's just relevant to me at this time. So I haven't embarked on that yet, but I'm excited to bring it in, because I tried the candies and they're super delicious. It's like all you have to do is eat candy. What's up? Like it'll help you. Now you'll crave having an apple in the afternoon, perhaps, and some spinach sometimes. We'll see, but I love that. So, all right. Well, I love this conversation so much. Again, did you notice what we were not talking about, which is like, I want to do this, and this with like, no realistic time frame as to what, how to achieve that. And I also appreciate that each one of you, I can tell, knows that every single piece of what you described today takes time and effort and testing. So that is also, I just think it's a game changer, because, you can get discouraged when you try things and they don't go the way you want them to. And I also very much appreciate the message of consistency today. So I really appreciate each one of you for showing up today. And there you have it. Different strategies, many of which take some time and testing. So don't feel bad if things are taking some time for you. Believe me, you are not alone. It's all about testing. A good place to start is knowing your marketing archetype. So just go to innatemarketinggenius.com and press the big pink button. It takes about 5 minutes and you'll have a much clearer sense about your brand story. If you want someone in your corner helping you become a compelling expert, schedule a meeting with me through innatemarketinggenius.com. And finally, be sure to leave a rating and a review. It helps people find us so that we can all do some more marketing for humans. Until next time.